So good evening and welcome to a very important seminar that we are conducting. This has been something that we've been trying to have for a very long time. And we understand the seriousness of the topic that we are holding today. And it's an absolute privilege to have three of you as the panelists for the seminar today. We've been hearing about this for a very, very long time from a lot of various um, parents in the groups, in the Bangalore schools group also. And that is where we thought it's very, very important that we address this. Um, because as children grow into preteens and teenagers, it becomes more challenging for the parents to know what they are thinking and feeling. Parents and family members can help teens cope with life when it gets too difficult to bear. Um, there are steps that they can take to help them prepare, offer the caring, not judgmental support for the children. But it's also very important to understand what are these triggers, how they can help them, how does it work. So that's what we're going to talk about, understanding how we can help in terms of suicide prevention and awareness in children. And that's what we're going to talk about. And we have three very, very eminent panelists in the room today with us. So let me start with Rohini Rajeev. Rohini is a senior psychotherapist, clinical social worker, and POSH compliance consultant. She is the founder and chief practice officer at the Able Mind, the DeStress Holistic Health Pvt. Limited, Bangalore. She's a certified telephonic suicide prevention helpline volunteer at NIMHANS. She is an international affiliate member of American Psychological Association. She's a winner of the Outstanding Leadership Award in Healthcare, Health 2.0 Dubai in 2022. She's an external member and trainer, prevention, prohibition, and redressal of women's sexual harassment at the workplace, protection of children from sexual offenses, POSH and POSCO. She has a MSW in medicine and psychiatry, and she's currently a PhD scholar at Tata Institute of Social Sciences. A very, very warm welcome, Rohini Rajeev. Thank you for accepting this invite and being part of this panel.
My pleasure, Manoj. Thank you.
Let me invite the next participant, next panelist who's joined us today. So Sneha is the founder of Ananya Foundation for Happiness. She also doubles up as a technical writer in Synopsys. She has worked in various semiconductor startups as an HR manager before making the move to the technical writing. Sneha also is a career counselor by choice and helps underprivileged children make career decisions. She is a graduate in instrumentation technology from Vishweshwara Technical University and a gold medalist in MBA HR from KSOU. Ananya Foundation for Happiness attempts to promote self-happiness and resilience in the lives of every individual. The aim of the foundation is to create strong factual awareness about mental health and help fight stigmas associated with this. The mission of the foundation is to reach out to the population from the age groups and introduce mental health as an important factor that contributes to the individual well-being. A very warm welcome, Sneha Rao. Thank you so much for accepting this invite and being part of this panel.
Thank you, Manoj. Thank you for bringing me here.
Dr. Raghavendra Kumar is a very, very well-known psychiatrist working in Bangalore. He specializes in adolescent psychiatry. He is an MBBS and an MD in psychiatry and also has a DPM from NIMHANS. He's got a postgraduate diploma in child rights law. He has got a DM in child and adolescent psychiatry. He's got a postgraduate diploma in developmental neurology. He's the founder and director of Mana Mandira Healthcare, one of its kind niche adolescent and child mental health startup. He is the first child psychiatrist in India to become a qualified developmental neurologist. He's the first child psychiatrist in India to become a qualified child rights advocate. He's an executive council member of the Indian Association of Child and Adolescent Mental Health, has been twice on the National Human Rights Commission panel discussions, has conducted several workshops for parents and teachers at state and national level. And yes, several publications and presentations at national and international forums. Very, very warm welcome, Dr. Raghavendra Kumar. Thank you so much, Doctor, for joining us today evening.
Thank you, Manoj. Thank you. Thanks a lot for the invitation. And it's a very a topic which is very close to my heart and which has been burning my mind day in and day out, and especially after the pandemic. I am really pressed to talk about this topic, and this is a very important platform, and I couldn't refuse to talk about this, and I grabbed this opportunity to spread awareness. So,
thank you, Doctor. And I know you're very, very busy. You have appointments through the day, and a lot of children look up to you on that also. I know it personally. And the moment I said we have a panel discussion, can you be part of it? You were so willing and ready to come and accept this. And same to Rohini and Sneha. Thank you so much for being part of this, because I think this is something that needs a lot of attention, needs a lot of focus on. So let me start on this journey. A quick question to start off with. I'll start with Sneha first. Sneha, I would leave you to answer it from the perspective that you want to. How did Ananya Foundation start? What was the motive behind it?
Okay. Yeah, that's a difficult question, but thank you for asking this. I lost my 16-year-old daughter to suicide exactly 11 months back. 4th of April. Ananya was an achiever, an all-rounder. She started singing at the age of 2, a child with a very clearly defined purpose in life. But if a child like Ananya could go through something like this and decide to end her life, this actually, as a mother, yes, I was grieving, but it also left me with a lot of unanswered questions. If a child like Ananya could go through this, what about those kids who are not really doing so very great in their academics, who are going through peer pressure, who are going through family pressure, and many of these situations? So that is where we wanted to, help and support these kids to open up, because Ananya as a child was very open with me. We used to have non-stop conversations. There was no hesitation. But why did my child not talk about her darkest emotions? This is what led to gave birth to Ananya, a foundation for happiness. So we reach out to schools, colleges, corporates, even apartment complexes. We reach out to parents, teachers, and talk about what could what situations could put a child through a situation like this or a depressive episode, and how they can support them.
Thank you, Sneha. I know it was a very tough question, and I'm sorry I had to start off with that, because I thought it will help everyone understand and put that context in place on where we are coming from. And kudos to you, the work that you're doing. When we spoke last, you told me that you've touched almost 3,000 plus children so far.
It's 4,000 now.
4,000 plus children over the last 11 months after that incident happened.
Over the last 5 months, actually.
5 months, wow. So great journey. And I think this is also a support in terms of what we want to try and support in this journey, and that's where this discussion started. Let me go to Dr. Raghavendra next in terms of one thing that I have. When do the normal up and downs of adolescence become something to worry about? Because parents do want to help, parents want, but they're seeing the children grow up, they're part of that journey. They all believe that they're in the same house, sharing the same roof, but there are so many things that are happening. When should a parent possibly start looking at it, and is there an up and down that is coming out that the parent should be worried about? Doctor.
That's a very wonderful question, Manoj, and a very brain-tickling question, I would say. This has to be seen at an individual level, because each family has its own thresholds, each family has its own yardsticks. But one thing you need to see is any recent change in the behavior. It doesn't have to be essentially withdrawn. Especially, see, what happens is we tend to see a child like depression classically, like a child is not talking, withdrawn, sullen. That is classically seen as depression, but that doesn't have to be in case of an adolescent. An adolescent can actually be shouting, screaming, rebellious. That can also be sign of depression. Self-harm as in not like slashing wrists. So those can also be signs of depression. So even these earliest signs of this should have to be picked. So there are two ends. Like one is completely internalizing, and the other end is completely externalizing. So some kids might want to internalize the disturbances which they go through, and some want to externalize the disturbances they go through. So we need to be watchful of both of these. Sometimes what we tend to do is, oh, this kid is being disobedient, or being very like not very being very rebellious, teenage tantrums, or those kind of things. But we should not be like that. We should not be dismissive of these things. So be very observant and tell that I sense that there is something which is troubling you. Sentences like, there is something which is troubling you. Is there any way where I can help you? And is there any way where you feel, be it in school or be it with friends or anywhere you need support, please approach me anytime. And telling these sentences repeatedly will help them. And making and living by those statements is one
You're
thing.
saying it's an individualistic thing, that is one. And secondly, you're saying the very fact that the parent is able to comfort the kid that I am behind you, come what may, there is going to be me. That's what you're saying. Rohini, this is something that and we have discussed in the past, and you've been very, very vocal about it. This is about the taboo that is associated with mental health, and especially when it comes to children. Why is there so much of a taboo when it comes to mental health? So to an extent wherein I've seen parents denying the whole thing and not wanting to accept the fact that my child needs help. Going to a psychiatrist is seen as a big taboo inside the family. They don't want to talk about it even to their nearest relatives. Why is there so much of taboo in about this in our society?
Manoj, it's if you primarily look at it, where does stigma orient itself from, right? Where does it come from? It comes from lack of awareness, lack of knowledge. When what we don't know, we're afraid of it, right? So what we don't understand is another reason that, scares us. So if we cannot figure out what is really going on, why is someone behaving, why is my child behaving in a certain way, we take it very personally as parents, right? Oh my God, is this a reflection of me as a bad parent? I would want my child to talk to me first, right? I don't want my child to talk to a therapist, because a lot of parents feel insecure about their position that way. Not just because there is, stigma associated with it, but also because we sort of internalize that and, take it upon ourselves to, okay, I'm the parent, I'm the primary guardian. I need to know everything about my child. I am the secret keeper. Nobody knows, especially mothers, right? So we tend to assume, and it's fully valid. We do know our child more than anybody else, at least up to a certain age. But what happens is, sometimes we tune out, right? And when we find it difficult to sort of understand that, and we are afraid as to what is going to be the reaction if I'm taking my child to a counselor, for example, how are people going to view my child? Are they going to think my child is, quote unquote, mad, right? Are they going to think my child is weak? Are they going to judge me as a parent, right? So they're very secretive about it. And this just goes not just with children, right? Even adults, we think on the same lines. We prefer anonymous help to help where someone knows that we're going for therapy. While a little bit of it is changing right now with social media, and in cities like Bangalore, Bombay, maybe, I think in majority of the states, we are still in the same place, right? People are still very hesitant to even reach out because they don't want to be judged. There's so much judgment going around. And for me, I think that's the biggest factor. So we need to work around that, accepting the fact that there is stigma.
Because she is working quite a lot in terms of removing the stigma, removing this taboo, making children open up and talk. How has that journey been, Sneha? How do you think the success is in that space?
I agree. It's been tough, but as Dr. Rohini rightly mentioned, it's more to do with awareness. The more and more you talk about mental health, I think some percentage of the society will open up to the fact that yes, mental health is true and it matters and it can happen to anybody. That way, yes, kids are scared about being branded, being attention seekers. And also, parents, as she rightly mentioned, that because of the fact that I am the primary facilitator of my child and because I have the authority, I should be knowing first. And, what is new that a psychologist or a psychiatrist would be bringing or telling to my child? I have that, power and knowledge to, safeguard my child here. But sometimes I think medical intervention becomes necessary, and it's important that we reach out and seek help.
Thank you. Doctor, from your experience, you've been practicing for more than a decade now, and you've seen it all over the last the COVID phase, the pre-COVID, the post-COVID. A lot of changes have happened. Do you think that these instances are increasing over the years, or is it similar? What are your thoughts on it?
Pandemic has been a watershed, I would say. Manoj.
Sorry, go ahead, doctor. Sorry.
Pandemic has been a watershed, I would say, and in fact, I in a way, in a tongue-in-cheek manner, I say AC and BC, after Corona and before Corona. I call it. Although because most of the things now, in terms of developmental health, speech delay, academic delay, there are several difficulties that compounds into other difficulties also, because a child with academic delay obviously will end up with emotional difficulties because it cannot cope up with other kids, it cannot cope up with other difficulties, and then it lands in depression or other anxieties, other difficulties, and then it culminates in self-harm and other things. So obviously the downstream things will happen. So that is where people like Sneha and foundations like Ananya Foundation and several other gatekeepers come in picture, and their yeoman service is of very utmost importance, because we are people who come when there are 3-4 layers of breaches, but people like Sneha, they come in picture when there is the first level or their primordial, like even when things are brewing, they come into picture. And like Rohini brought up, these people, see, meeting a psychologist or a psychiatrist is a stigma, but meeting people like Sneha is no stigma at all. They are just like the next door person, and they can pick things easily. And having gone through a personal loss, they can understand things much more better, and they can empathize with kids much more easily. So definitely there is a huge I'm roughly I can say there is a I can't quote statistics, but definitely there is a minimum twofold, threefold increase in mental health morbidity in kids in the last.
That's a very striking number. Okay? It's a very alarming number that way. Rohini, would you also align this to quite a lot of those lifestyle changes that have happened over the period of time? Do you also factor that into this?
Like what Dr. Raghavendra was saying, that, we need to look at the vulnerability of these children, right? I mean, where they stand socially, and like he was saying, where they stand developmentally. What are the pressures that children these days are dealing with compared to how it was when we were young? the kind of exposure they have, the kind of peer pressure, the need to be, visible, if you understand what I'm saying, is so strong that, they are willing to, with desperation, to be a part of a clique, part of a group, that if, children don't take rejection so well these days. I think in terms of parenting also, when we were young, our parents expected us to be a certain way, focus on certain things. And I mean, they didn't really worry too much if our friends were not talking to us. And, they didn't try to fix our problems for us. And we are guilty about that, Manoj. As parents, we are all working, we're dual income couples. We do tend to feel guilty about not spending enough time with our children. So when they come to us with a problem, we don't let them fight their problems. We try to intervene. We try to help them out. So what we do, in my opinion, is we incapacitate them from handling difficulties, from being able to stand up and, be okay with things not really working out sometimes. Right. So you see them struggling with rejection and, struggling with disappointments. Sneha, I see you like to add something here.
Yes. One thing that I notice amongst these kids is, we bringing in the gadget into our lives so much that every child today Googles for every symptom that they see in themselves. There are a lot of kids who walk up to me and tell me, ma'am, I have social anxiety.
Oh, yeah.
The diagnosis is done. And I wouldn't be surprised.
Not just children, adults, everyone does that.
So I
Ask
think
me about it.
So it's very important that these information on the net are a general information, and it is necessary that you reach out to the right person with your symptoms and talk to these people, because you are a unique individual. And a doctor has the expertise and experience to look to you as a H capital and look into the symptoms and prescribe a therapy or a medicine if necessary, because and this gadget addiction also has kind of somewhere brought in that compromise when it comes to their interpersonal and behavioral skills. They don't want to talk to anybody, they don't want to confide in anybody, they don't want to open up. But many a times this helps, talking out. It could be a family member or it could be a stranger. It helps to reach out and seek help, I think.
If I may, Manoj, one of the things that as an organization that we are doing at the Able Mind is precisely this. So we have an app that is specifically designed for youngsters. It's an anonymous mental health support app. It's supremely affordable and it's chat-based. So typically teenagers love to chat on their phone, right? So they can use any username and they can reach out, and which is why we're approaching schools, and we will be speaking to Sneha as well soon. So because like she said, they need to talk, they need, the right kind of guidance, not smoke pot and try to solve their problems that way, because that's what they see, right? Yeah, lifestyle changes or not, pressure is definitely true.
Absolutely. Doctor, one of the most important things that most parents want to understand and kind of know probably from you, how do we identify that a child's mental health is under threat?
See,
I know it's not a very short, quick answer, but just to kind of give a larger perspective.
It's a broadband concept, broadband question. So maybe it's like 5 concepts. You can simple in like 5 fingers thing. First thing is developmental. Okay, any developmental issues like speech development, academic skills. So all these things. Remember these things. Okay. So starting from preschoolers. We will go in a chronological manner so that things are more organized and more easily understandable. So academic speech development, motor skill development, academic skill development, any developmental issue. and these are interlinked. They are like the intertwining strands of a creeper, or a climber. So they intertwine and they actually have an impact on one another, the overall development, and it eventually results in an emotional and social competence. So speech development, any development in terms of speech, social competence. So that is one first thing. Second thing is we call it access to. Say, I'm trying to simplify this thing. So then we need to focus on the mental health, like the major emotional disorders like anxiety, depression, behavioral issues, oppositionality, those things we need to see. So the major mental disorders, like we say, those things we need to keep in mind. OCD or those things. Stubbornness, stubborn behavior, those things we need to keep in mind. The third thing, intellectual mental development, like IQ issues. And the fourth thing, any other general health issues that can also have a bearing on the child's mental health. Like a child repeatedly falling sick because of pain abdomen or a major surgery or some other health issue. Like I'm seeing one child who underwent an eye surgery. And one eye vision is seriously hampered. And because of that, he's going through an serious emotional complication. So that kind of an issue. So the fourth one. The fifth one, environment, the environment in which the child lives. Not essentially in that order. I don't mean to trivialize the environment, but still, just to make things simpler, the fifth one is the environment, the immediate environment and the bigger environment. Like immediate, when I say immediate, the family and the school and the bigger environment as in the society. So any disturbances in the environment can also cause disturbances in the child's mental health. So these things have to be kept in mind, and any disturbances in all these things will cause disturbance in the child's mental health. The first four are very simple to understand. Then the last one is a bit complex, and the interplay is a lot more dynamic.
Okay. So
Manoj, if I may add here.
Yeah, please, Sneha.
Yeah. So I just wanted to bring in a small incident, with Ananya. Long story short, Ananya was very upset about not performing well in her physics paper, first PU physics paper. And that night she complained about, pain in her lower abdomen. Then as a mother, I didn't have the awareness that it could be related to, that was a trauma for her. I couldn't relate it to, her failure or that traumatic incident. We took her to, hospitals. Nothing came up, as a serious thing. Then, next day again, she was given painkillers. We came back home. Next day again in the morning, she developed pain. We went up till CT scan and every report was clean. I didn't know that, this was something to do with her being upset with her performance. I think this is something that's a very important point that you made, Dr. Raghavendra. Thank you for that. This is something that, we will have to keep a note on, because a pain followed by a traumatic incident is something that we don't connect to mental health.
Also connected
this,
to abuse.
This has come from a performer, somebody who has excelled well in her artistic side and all of that stuff, and she has handled that in the past also, right, Sneha?
Yes.
Of late, I'm seeing kids, especially post-pandemic, kids are terribly distressed in going back to school. School refusal is a big issue. At least in a ballpark figure, I do 175 sessions a month, more or less. at least 1/4 of that will be a school refusal kid.
Wow.
They're around less than 10 years of age mostly, and very difficult kids to treat, and they will have very high expectations of themselves, and very difficult have significant difficulty in academics, and going through very stressful time. And there will be some, when I said no, the environment also will be having some difficulty. The school or the teachers, there will be some expectation from the parents, from the schools. So it will be a confluence of several things. So more or less, see, and I said these 5 factors, no, it's always good to look at all these things, all these 5 things. So that's the reason I brought this 5-finger things. And when somebody is looking at these things, no, especially Sneha, when you are screening, and when Rohini is screening a kid, always look at these 5 things. That's why I brought this thing. It's, as a rule of thumb, when you see a child, just tuck, run these things, and you will find another thing. Just flag it up and then address it.
So you brought a very important point there, doctor, flagging it up. I think those 5 things are something that parents can also look up to, because that's the first trigger, that's the first spotting that a parent can do. And if they're looking at those 5-finger theory, I think that was really helpful for everyone there. Rohini, if they find something out of these 5 fingers, how and when do they come for a professional help? What is your recommendation? What is your suggestion? I mean, this is not like your fever or cold where you say, let's wait for another 3 days, and if it doesn't get better, we will go, or let's try some home remedies, and then if it doesn't work. These are things that will need probably immediate attention, if not urgent. So when do we start on that journey?
So since we're talking about suicide as is, right, Manoj, I think it's very important for us to remember that do not ever trivialize any conversation your adolescent is having about death, dying, suicidal tendencies, hopelessness. Oh, this world is not worth living in. I wish I was not here anymore. Your life would be easier if I was not around, right? Those are statements that one should never ignore, irrespective of whether there is validity in that or not. It doesn't matter, right? That's the first thing. Take it seriously, right? No child is going to joke about something like that. Maybe they're trying to process something in their head and they don't know how to do it, right? So they're making these kind of statements, and as parents, we need to sit up and listen. We need to tune into what our child is saying and what our child is not saying. So if our child is separating themselves and behaving differently from what is usual to them, which Dr. Raghavendra touched upon in the beginning as well, it's not always depression, right? It's not always what you understand about depression, crying, and the typical signs of sadness. That's not it. It's always behavior that's different from usual. Like your child is an introvert, is suddenly, wanting to, saying things like, I would like to say bye to this person. I would like to, suddenly extremely happy. A mood is very different. Talks about death and dying for 3-4 days. And the 5th day seems like I'm at peace. And, oh, the world is like this. They make very philosophical statements, right? They don't want to go meet friends like they usually do. They don't want to go play. They don't want to hang out the usual way. Every time you reach out, they reject your reaching out, saying that don't disturb me. Don't, I'm okay. Leave me alone. Like Dr. Raghavendra was saying, anger, right? Anything that's beyond a certain point. These are all red flags, Manoj. And at any point, as a parent, what you should do is, yes, you tell the child that, hey, I see that you're upset. I'm here if you want to talk. Is there something that's bothering you? Would you like me to, would you like to sleep in my room tonight? We can probably share something. Would you like to go out and probably have an ice cream? Reach out on their level, not where you're coming from. Not like, oh, I also had problems as a child. Get over it. We are a strong family, right? We are brave. We are men. These are statements we sort of make in our intent to help our child. But what we are trying to do is we are indirectly stopping the child from telling us what is hurting them. because they're so scared whether you're going to judge them. Is it not important enough? Right. So when something like this happens, I think it's important to reach out to a psychiatrist, reach out to a psychotherapist, and get them to evaluate whether the situation is really critical or not. So it's best not to wait. Like it's, you don't pray about
that's where
it.
I was coming to. How do we do that? So there is a red flag that is triggered,
Yeah.
and you identified a red flag.
Yeah.
What is the next step for the parent? Because I don't think the child is ready to come and say, hey, let's go and meet a doctor. So the child is probably not even accepting that fact, and it's just throwing out something. So how does a parent take it forward?
What I've always seen, or what I've suggested to parents as well, is one is to share it with them that, hey, you know what, I mean, I've also gone through something like this, and you know what helped me? I reached out. I spoke to a professional. I was 13 when I felt that way, and my mom took me and we spoke. Would you like to try that? Right? Do you want to come with me? Let's go and talk. I'll be with you through this process. Right? Would you like to try? See, one of the things about adolescents is they think they know everything. Right?
Absolutely.
So they don't like parents taking that decision for them. So I've observed, and successfully so, I've seen when you tell the child, these are, the profiles, do you want to read? And, maybe we go through this together, but let's reach out. Let's go and find out if maybe this person can sort of help you. And also telling them that as an adult, you have reached out as well. So it's not such a bad thing after all. It's nothing to be judgmental or worried about. Making it like a responsible choice. Tell them that, hey, you're telling me this. I think that's wonderful. I think you're being very mature and responsible. So why don't we take the next step? Right? Give the child some time to think, but also stay with the child then. Don't leave the child alone. Watch out for certain further red flags, but somehow get them to reach that place. And usually it also helps if the parent reaches out to the mental health professional first themselves, shares the sort of concern, and find out what are the things that they can watch out for to protect the child. Yeah.
And again, if you can just help us with that, Dr. Raghavendra, what are the steps? Whom do I reach out to first? Do I go to a psychotherapist, a psychologist, or a psychiatrist? Is there a order of preference in which I go, or I directly go and meet a psychiatrist? What typically is suggested?
See, meet a mental health professional first. Meet your nearest mental health professional first. That's the first thing. Okay. Because any mental health professional is trained enough to pick suicidality. Okay. And because of the scarcity of practitioners, because of the scarcity of child psychiatrists, or for that matter, any mental health professionals, it's fine. You don't have to be specific of that, because suicide is that severe thing that you should not be very picky, because every second counts in this situation, and it's a life at stake. So you should never hesitate. Meet a trained, qualified professional. That's the first thing. A mental health professional, be it a social worker, a psychologist, a psychotherapist, or a psychiatrist, or a child psychiatrist. A child psychiatrist based on the age or those things. And ensure that medications if required, or admission if required, based on the severity.
Nearest mental health professional is the first point of contact, and from there you take it. But take the help, right? Yes.
Okay. To make matters easier, nearest medical college, or a nearest center, like one center will have several places. Like medical college, that's easier because that will have a established departments. That's easier, right? And city like Bangalore, for that matter, will have each direction will have at least 1 or 2 medical colleges. The nearest medical college will be like 2, 3, 7, 8 kilometers away from any point, something like that. So it's easier.
Okay.
And if nothing, at least we'll get referred to a right person from that place.
Okay.
So
timing is important. The nearest one is what is important. Sneha, children are evolving. What used to happen earlier at 18 is today happening at 14 or 12. A lot of changes are happening from that perspective. And we hear a lot of stories around that he was too or she was too young to even think about it, kind of a stuff. That's something that we keep hearing. And you've been working a lot with children. What age do you think or what age group do you think are more prone to a tendency like this, a suicidal tendency like this? Is there an age group that the parent needs to be worried about? Is it from a particular age group and above that you're seeing it more, or is it across all age groups?
Mild behavioral changes, mild symptoms are seen at the age of 12. Starting from there, I have noticed. But, there have been a couple of cases where a child of 5.5, 6-year-old also talks about these things. Maybe Dr. Rohini and Dr. Raghavendra can throw some light on this.
I'm coming to them in terms of because I wanted to know your experience, because you are somebody on the ground talking to children and you've spoken to 4,000 plus children. So you've seen it happening.
Yes, 12 and above, this is rampant. And that's exactly why we want parents to believe that, a child of that age can go through, can have mental health issues. I think that's the first step to, it could be, awareness or helping the child. The parent should know and believe that this can happen at that age. Normally, when the child even the child gathers a lot of courage and comes to the parent and tells that something is not right with me. But many a times, as we discussed here, either we shoo them away, or their thoughts are just brushed away, saying that this has happened to me, I have dealt with it, so you can also. But again, every individual is different. The way we respond to a depressive episode or a situation in life is different. So it's necessary that we reach out and seek help again. I'm stressing on this point.
Understood. Rohini, what are your thoughts? What is that age trigger? What is that age group trigger that you have seen?
She hit the nail on the head. The children as young as 5 and 6 talk about this. They talk about body shaming, and they talk about because like I said, the exposure is a lot. And as parents, as educators, first thing, again, like she said, is believe. Believe your child when they're saying something, right? Sit down and listen to them. Know who their friends are. Pay attention to their interests and likes. Observe their behavior. And never trivialize anything that they're trying to share. Like one of the points I wanted to mention earlier also is when both Sneha and Dr. Raghavendra were talking about physical symptoms, right? We talk about pain, pain that a child goes through. Physical symptoms come out a lot when there is abuse involved as well. There is sexual abuse and trauma is connected a lot, and children's inability to express comes out as abdominal pain and headaches and things like that. Another aspect is also a drop of self-esteem. Not all depressed children are suicidal, but children with low levels of self-esteem also tend to think this way. So the age which you're looking at is which age does a child lose its confidence? I mean, it could be any age. The age the child starts to talk, and the age the child starts to observe other children, and comparisons happening in school, comparison happening at home between siblings. They start feeling it, right? You start sensing emotions. And for me, that's the age where you start feeling that there is a problem. Yeah. Because you feel, oh, this person is better than me. And does my parent prefer this person to me? Does my teacher, rhymes, you remember the rhyme we used to learn? What is that? Yeah, I forgot. Cheeks, well, eyes are blue. Teacher's pet, is that you? So only if you have blue eyes and pink cheeks does a teacher like you. And children tend to, in an Indian population, imagine that rhyme. You start feeling these things. The time you start feeling, for me, that's my answer.
Okay. Doctor, one thing that has always intrigued me in this thing is that, yes, we understand that the child is going through a problem. There is a red flag that is raised. We need to take that help. Is there a way parents or family can ensure that there is a resilience that is being built in the children, and they're able to have some kind of a coping mechanism to overcome this? Is that a possibility?
Resilience, yes. Resilience is innate construct plus a social construct also. Social connectedness helps a lot. when I say social connectedness, it's not the social media connectedness. It's social connectedness through, yeah. So social media does a lot of disservice to resilience sometimes, because see, body image, self-image. During our generation, we never had social media. So our comparisons used to be with our friends like 20, 30 or some 40 kids in our neighborhood and school. But now kids of this generation, they will compare with themselves with one girl somewhere in some corner of USA who they don't even know. And for all you know, that girl might be feigning every thing which she has on her Facebook profile. But she will be having, this girl who is comparing herself will have the least self-esteem because of a fake Facebook profile, and might attempt self-harm for lack of this thing. So resilience is again, if this girl has the right social support and somebody to help her and make her understand, and this girl has real social connections, and she knows that real life is different from a fake social life, and it's not just about likes and this thing, endorsements. Just so that is where resilience comes, right? So being connected and having good and ensuring that see, kids tend to use social media for emotion regulation. When they feel sad, they tend to use Facebook. They plop into that like a this thing. It's like a rabbit hole. You go into it, but you don't know where it's like interconnected, and these things are devised such that once you go in, you cannot come out. Those things are they are made such that they don't want you to come out. Facebook or Insta or whatever.
Absolutely.
So,
Instant validation.
yes. So kids get trapped into that, and that is where the resilience, no matter how resilient they are, it just gets shattered. So as adults, we need to teach them self-regulation. My emotions should not control me. I should control my emotions.
Yes.
That is the first thing. That's the first thing. Simple sentences. Like, see, when I'm sad, I go into Facebook. Being mindful about their emotions. When I am sad, I use Facebook. When I am sad, I tend to eat more of junk food. When I am unhappy, I get more. I get cranky. So these kind of sentences, and parents should tend to reflect on kids. So this is how they build resilience, and this happens when they are more connected. A father cannot just tell, okay, you do this because you are angry. Child will not agree. When they are more connected, the father can tell, oh, I see that you are more angry today, and that's why you are eating more of junk food.
Which is tuning into your child.
Make them talk that, yeah. So one thing that is coming out, doctor, is that the role of a parent in terms of being a listener. And I think that is something that our generation is completely missing out, between all the running around, all the work, all the pressure, all the stress that we are taking. At times, these triggers are not even coming to us, not even reaching to us. Rohini, do you see that happening a lot now?
Yeah.
And
yeah.
how do we work on that as parents in terms of
Which is about tuning in? I mean, there's absolutely no need to feel guilty about being dual earning parents, right? So there's no need for you to overcompensate with your child. What you need to do is the quality time that you spend with your child, spend it exclusively. Tune in to their needs, focus on what they're learning in school. Who are their friends? Who are the parents of their friends? What do they do? What are your child's interests? I mean, how many parents these days with 13, 14-year-olds know what is your child's favorite song? What is your child's favorite music group? Or what are they watching on YouTube? They watch a lot of stuff on YouTube. You can't deny that, right? So what are you watching? Why do you watch that? Instead of getting angry with them, always watching YouTube and always, sitting on Instagram. You need an Instagram account. I hear a lot of parents come and complain that their teenage daughters have asked for Instagram accounts, and they're taking selfies, and the mother is so upset because she's getting judgmental, right? So she's afraid that she's losing track of her child. And like, my child is lost already. Now I'm not going to get her back. So as a parent, what do? I exercise my control. And I say, no, you're not going to get it, right? I'm more powerful than you. But what are you doing then? You're pushing your child away from you. So find out, why does your child want this? Is she trying to fit into a group? And, how should you as a parent guide her to open an Instagram account, understanding the safety protocols, understanding the influence of social media, right? Instead of jumping to a conclusion and rejecting them. And then you become enemy number one. Right? So as parents, we either go overboard and give them everything they need because we are overcompensating. We do that till they turn 12. And then suddenly at 13, we refuse them. And the child doesn't know how to handle this changing parent. Start with the same mother who gave me this, last year. You gave me a phone.
Rohini, that starts much earlier. I'm seeing
much
nowadays
earlier.
when a child, the child is literally born with a mobile in the hand, because the only way to make that child eat is to make them watch a YouTube channel, or the only way the dad and mom.
Manoj, the easiest way, not the only way.
Yeah, so the easiest way, that's a way out for the parent to even have a discussion, put it on, and the child is not disturbing you at all. And you see it in every restaurant that you go, you see it in every movie theater that you go, you move to any public place that is there. It starts much earlier than the overcompensating part. So does that also play a role later on? Is it something that you've seen?
You buy the child the phone, no? And then you take it away from them when they really need it. So what do you expect, right? So it's really important. I think parental training starts when the child is 4 or 5, not child. The parents need to be spoken to. I think 13, 14, 15 is too late, Manoj. You need to start very early.
Sneha, you are adding something there, yes.
Yes, one thing that I believe is that it takes a village to raise a child. And, no offense, but today it's a nuclear family setup. Yes. So there was a time when the village and the home used to be a village with so many people in it. So, if the parents are busy, then the child would find somebody to talk to, open up, and find, get some support. But today that's not the case. And we like it or not, we want it or not, we are comfortable or not, we are all in that rat race. And we don't have that time where we can really sit together and ask, are you doing okay? So please, my advice to parents would be to sit with your kids, open up. And if you are not able to give that quality time, take people in your family into confidence, bring in that support system. Also, there are people out there who can help you, in this difficult situation. It's important that you open up and reach out in the first place. And we are all here to help you come out of that situation and make the child and you feel better.
Other day, very interestingly, somebody came and told me that my child is 7 years old, 7.5 years old or something. He's so independent that he can go open the door himself, go into the house himself, makes a omelette and cooks and eats himself, so independent that, and then when the discussion happened, we realized that the child is at home from 3 o'clock to around 8 o'clock alone. Right. So that's that. I mean, is that a false sense of independence, Rohini? Is that something that you would advise parents to do? I know maybe they don't have a choice, but is that something also that would be a red flag at a later stage?
Manoj, that's a very tricky question and can be interpreted in a lot of ways. It's like you said, some people don't have that choice. But in terms of, I don't think it's a false sense of independence or pride, for example. If your child is able to do these things, great. But when you come back at 8 o'clock, what do? Right? Are you able to invest that time, maybe an hour with your child, to sort of understand your child? Or are you going straight, I'm exhausted, I had a long day, I hope you've eaten, and then you go and do your business? That is wrong.
Yes.
So,
So
some sacrifice parents also need to make.
Okay, so next one is more in terms of because Bangalore schools, there's a lot of educators, teachers, schools in that group. What is the role of an educator or a school as such in these cases? Because children spend more time in school than actually at home. The time they're awake, most of the time is spent in school. So what is the role there? I know some of the schools have dedicated counselors, but not all of them are there. I don't know how many of them are really trained, like Rohini, or somebody who can actually handle it. So what is the role of the school, and how do you think the school should be involved in this whole process?
I think all of us should answer this question
Yes,
because we
please.
all have
This is
different
very important. Yeah.
experiences with that. Sneha, I think you should start first, considering you're the person who's been working with schools right now.
Yeah, one thing is, again, as I mentioned earlier, in case of parents, schools should also believe that kids can have mental health issues. And as you rightly said, Manoj, a lot of schools have in-house counselors. But again, amongst the kids, there's a lot of taboo and stigma here. They don't want to talk to these in-house counselors because they feel that they will be branded. And they also they believe that whatever they talk to these counselors will be discussed with the other teachers, and that will impact the marks that these teachers give them.
Oh my.
Yes, and a lot of kids have told me this. They are not very comfortable talking to in-house counselors. They don't go there. So this is something that there has to be a paradigm shift in the way we look at children, in the way we look at mental health. And again, we have to believe in it and bring that a different thought process here to help these kids.
Okay. Sorry, Rohini, if you could take that question, the same question.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm going back 20 years where I was consulting with a school that had existing counselors, one of Bangalore's oldest schools. And I used to go there to take mood management workshops for 6th to 12th graders. And it was shocking for me. I used to go twice a week. And 6th grade children, 7th graders, like you're talking about 11 and 12-year-old girls, they would line up, Manoj, to talk, right? And because I was not from their school, I wasn't even from their agency of which brings the counselors. It was an external sort of service provider. They told me, Rohini, please, can you stay back for a couple of hours because these children want to talk. So some of them simply wanted to come and chat up. But then what I realized is, as it was a 1-year sort of program, so as the months started going, they started coming and talking about their problems. And they said, Auntie, we can't talk to the school counselor because our school counselor tells our class teacher, and our class teacher makes fun of us in front of the others, saying that, oh, you're the one who has that problem. Oh, you're the one who doesn't like the mother. Oh, you're the one who has that boyfriend, right? So they stopped because they felt that, oh, I'm only getting judged. And this I'm talking about 20 years ago, Manoj. It was in 2003. I'm hoping things have changed right now because most of the schools have counselors. But one of the other things I've observed very recently also in parent groups that we're a part of is parents are very resistant. Suppose the child is going through some issue and the school counselors, is involved in it, and they are, speaking to the child and they call the parent gets very defensive, saying that, oh, what are you trying to do? You're branding my child as unwell. School is inefficient. Teachers are inefficient. Which is why it's a problem. They can't handle my child, so they are passing the child to the counselor. So if that is the attitude, then it's difficult, no? So we need to work on awareness. We need to create that environment where both the school and the parents understand why there is a need for this, why it's okay, to talk about mental health. And I think schools should encourage this as a practice, that, children just talk. Have peer support groups, mental health representatives in classes, which children themselves do, because children reach out to children more than they reach out to an adult.
Yeah. I hope it has changed, because when
it's changing for sure.
When you have the counselor herself or himself judging the child, then there is a big problem there. I know we are out of time.
Schools have that.
Yeah, so we are almost out of time. I just have one question to Dr. Raghavendra, and I'll try to wind it up with that. We can continue the discussion because some other questions are happening. We'll stop the live and other stuff also. Doctor, how important it is that the child is aware that he needs help, especially when we are talking about a 10-year-old, 12-year-old children that we are talking about. Maybe the child is not even aware of the gravity of the situation. How important it is that the parent and the doctor or the psychiatrist work together on that and ensuring that the child is aware that the child needs help? Or how do we do that?
Trust me, Manoj, I'll tell you one thing. In my experience, I'll tell you, kids are very much aware they need help.
Okay.
It's the parents who have lot of panic, lot of anxiety, lot of worries. You talk to the kids, you make them understand. It will be a piece of cake working with them. Trust me, it's very easy working with them. They are like, literally, it's very easy to work with them. You make them understand. You talk to them. And it's the parental anxiety. I understand. See, I'm not blaming anyone, but it's the parental anxiety, the parental worry, parental concern. They would have constructed several worries. They would have built several what might happen if somebody gets to know what will happen, and if this happens, what might happen, and several basically cognitive distortions and several other things. So. And kids will know like what's going on. If you talk to them, they will be able to narrate at their developmentally appropriate level. Like even a 5-year-old will be able to talk. Like Sneha told, no, I have see a concept of death and dying. See, they may not be able to tell that they want to kill themselves, but they will tell that. A 6-year-old can easily tell that I don't want to be here. I want to go away. They will not tell that I want to die, but they will tell that I want to just disappear.
Yeah.
It would have been so nice for mommy that if I'm not here. And some kids, they just go away. They just tell that I'll leave home, or I'll go there. I'll go somewhere. And if that multiplies and if that keeps on accumulating, then by 10, 12, it might culminate in something like that. So it's like that. So at appropriate stages, every kid will have developed a faculty to express it, and for whatever reason that doesn't get addressed and that doesn't get noticed, and then it accumulates. That is when the problem mounts and gets compounded. So that is where
what we kind of understand, doctor, just to kind of summarize in terms of what we're trying to say. One is that the child is aware of it. The child knows that there is something wrong, but the child probably doesn't know what is wrong, how to take a help. The child is trying to tell you as a parent that I need help, but I don't know how to tell you that. So all those red flags that Rohini was raising in terms of those sentences that they use, the pain, the physical and the emotional stuff that they're showing. It's up to us as parents to kind of capture these at the right time, sit with them and understand, talk to them, and take immediate mental help. Is what
we need to help the child connect the dots and make sense of what's happening to him or her, and help. The child will be able to express it. Even a child with autism, even a child with intellectual disability can experience if provided the proper means and techniques. I have noticed that, and I have experienced it with my own eyes and during my interaction with those kids. Okay, if we provide those techniques,
just for the benefit of all, I'm not trying to be a marketing person here. Right? This is not the intention of the discussion. This is just to kind of help everyone. Dr. Raghavendra has to leave. So in case somebody needs to meet you or come to your place, I know you are in BTM layout. So is it okay that I share the number of the clinic on the group so that they can reach out to you, doctor? Is that
please feel free anytime.
So that's something on the Rohini, if you could just tell us what Able Mind does so that those who need your help and your team's help can reach out to you in terms of that. I think one of your teammates has put some details on that, but a quick word on what Able Mind does. Doctor, if you need to catch up to your appointment, thank you so much for being here. And it was an absolute pleasure discussing with you. And it's so thankful to you to having spent that 1 hour with us. And I'm sure this would help a lot of parents in terms of the journey that you're doing. So thank you so much, Doctor.
It was my pleasure to be among you people. And see, you people are the first point of contact and the most important point of contact for all this work which happens. And you are the flag bearers of child mental health, so to say.
Absolutely.
So it's definitely very important that children are very much in touch with you, and you people are very much abreast with the child mental health and the nitty-gritties of the child mental health. And it was a very nice interaction with you people.
Thank you, doctor. Thank you.
Thank
so
you,
much.
doctor. It was nice meeting you.
Same here.
Have a good
Rohini,
evening. Yes.
Able Mind.
Yes. So the Able Mind is the rebranded name for DeStress Holistic.
Manoj, can I leave the
Sure,
meeting?
doctor.
Bye,
Thank you so
bye.
Bye.
And
Bye.
we deal with end-to-end mental health support services, Manoj. So we work currently on our app. That's the most important new thing that we are doing right now. It's a preventive mental health app. It's called the Able Mind app. Yes, my colleague has put the link on the chat. We are looking at a proactive preventive model for mental health, simply because I've been in this field for over 21, 22 years. One of the things that I've observed over the years is, stigma stops people from reaching out, and affordability is a big thing. Mental health support services are expensive. Not everybody can afford it. Language is a barrier. So this is an anonymous mental health app that's there in 10 languages. Most of the local languages plus English. It's chat-based. It's 500 rupees a month for unlimited conversations with my team of counselors. 12 hours a day of live conversations. They can come as many times as they want. Use any username they want and talk. We have 24 hours of asynchronous support as well. We are doing this simply because we feel that, anonymity, stigma around usage should not stop children and youngsters and people who really need the support to reach out. So we are designed this for 2 and 3 tier cities for students to be able to afford it, so that they say that, 15 minutes, if a person comes 4 times a day, it's 1 hour. And I'm giving this to you at 500 rupees a month, right? So, we're trying our best to make sure that making it accessible. It's supervised counseling, Manoj. So the app this is the app that I'm talking about, which we feel
It can be downloaded. It can be downloaded on a mobile phone. And
yes, mobile phone,
can be
Android, Apple, any device, any iPad, anything. And that's the one that we are doing for preventive. We have intervention models, of course. We have a whole team of counselors who provide therapy services as well, also at very affordable costs, 7 days a week. So Monday to Sunday, we cover a lot of time and make it available for people online as well as offline sessions. We also do a lot of awareness programs, post trainings, school programs, motivation, confidence, resilience building. I do a lot of workshops in resilience building in companies, women's empowerment, rights, responsibilities, so many things. So basically everything, awareness, prevention, and intervention. That's what we do. So our website, I can put my website here for anybody.
Sure. Thank you so much for that, because I think that's a great initiative you're doing. I think Rajeev is also on the call.
Yes.
Kudos to both of you for having developed this whole idea and taking it to the next level. And we're very happy to be supportive about that. And I hope it reaches the masses that you're looking at.
Thank you so much.
Sneha, a quick word on Ananya Foundation of Happiness, please. How can they reach out to you? Is there a way you want to reach out? A message to the schools also that is needed.
Yeah. Schools can reach out to us. We are on Instagram and Facebook. They can also reach out to us, email us on contact@ananyafoundation.com. I would be very happy to, empanel with schools, colleges, corporates to spread the word, spread awareness. And basically, we do it under the title, You Are Precious for Kids, because we want every child to believe that he or she is precious, irrespective of, who they are, whether or not they're a performer, whether or not they are, beautiful. Every child is precious. And the other motto here is, personally, I don't want any mother to go through the pain that I'm going through. And, they can reach out to us anytime on our social media accounts, and they can write to us on contact@ananyafoundation.com. And we are here to
Would you go to the school and do a session there? What is the model that you do?
Yes, it's a session to a separate session for kids, parents, and teachers. Because what I would like to talk to kids, I would not like to, because they normally don't open up in front of parents. So it's going to be a kid-specific session. Then again, a different session for parents. That's how we do it.
Okay. So thank you so much, Sneha, for that, and all the very best for Ananya Foundation. And as we discussed earlier, whichever way we can support
More
through
power
EdDeeD,
to you,
the
Sneha.
Bangalore schools, to Roop,
Thank you,
we are
Rohini.
more than happy to support on that journey, because I think it's something that is very, very important in terms of reaching out to as many children as possible, and really salute your journey. In spite of the job, in spite of the pressures that you're running through, you've been able to reach out to so many kids, and I'm very, very sure you saved so many lives in this process. So
I
hats
hope
off to you
so.
for that journey.
Oh, I'm
Thank you.
sure you do.
Thank
Thank
you.
you
Thank
so
you.
much,
That means a
Rohini.
lot.
I look forward to connecting with you separately, Sneha.
Sure, Rohini, we'll reach out.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So
thank you, Manoj,
so
for
much,
this wonderful
Rohini. Thank you so much,
opportunity.
Sneha. And in absentia, Dr. Raghavendra also, because thank you so much for spending that 1 hour, because this is so important as a cause that we're trying to address. And I'm very sure we've not even touched the tip of the iceberg. There is so much more to
Yes.
discuss and talk, but let's at least happy that we've started it off, and EdDeeD is committed to this journey.
I'm very grateful to Sandhya and you, Manoj, and I great admirer of the work you do. Thank you so much to both of you.
Yes. Thanks,
you so
Manoj.
much.
Thank you for
We
bringing
will-
me
we will
here. It was
connect up.
great meeting Dr. Rohini and Dr. Raghavendra.
I'm
Thank
not
you for
doctor yet.
interview. Okay.
Doctor
It's,
in
I
the,
love to hear it though.
she's a doctor in making, but
With
yes.
the power of the spoken word. So
Yeah.
yes.
Thank you so much.
So thank you so much,
All right,
ladies, and
take
all
care.
the participants who are in this and are listening to us from outside. A big thank you so much for the support that you had, and we look forward to seeing you the next time. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Thank you. Bye. Bye.